You already know, back with another YouTube video. We got to keep the daily upload streak alive. I want to talk about in today's video this getting lean shit, the leanest law, all this stuff. You got to hop on. You have to start because only when you start and go through the process. And see, for me, it's I've always cared about the diet, all that stuff. But I got to a point now where it's almost as if you actually understand what the standards are. You see why the standards are so low in people. But because the bar is so low, when you do the bare minimum, but genuinely and consistently, that makes you exceptional because no one's hitting the protein goal every day. They might hit it 5, 6 days, but they're not even tracking, so they don't fucking know. That's the thing. And these are little ways you're gonna start to separate yourself. But if you're struggling in the gym or you're just tired all the time, I'm telling you, because when you do all the right things, you're gonna basically be a Superman compared to the people around you. When you can say no to caffeine because you don't get that dip in the afternoon because your sleep is actually locked in, you don't get that dip. You actually eat the right food, so your hormones are like functioning properly. Your cortisol's not hella elevated, so you can actually burn fat, do all these things, put on muscle because you're doing all the right things through diet. But diet is a thing that separates you, and that's why the only way to get lean is you have to have mastery over your diet. It makes a lot of sense the more I think about it. It's the hardest thing to do because at the end of the day, it's easy to work out. Anyone that thinks the gym is the hard part, oh man, you got a long way to go, but it's okay. We all start that way. Oh yeah, it's hard to wake up early and go to the gym. No, the diet. That's where the winners and losers. The difference between great and exceptional is going to be from your diet. But when you master that, you're gonna be lean. There's so much, it's crazy because for me, I have noticed I've lost since I've started, I think, almost 10 pounds, but 2 inches off my waist. But I can say that you just feel better on a day to day basis. I mean, less body fat on you, higher tests, and all these things. But it's true. And that's the biggest thing. When you start, that's the thing, you just have to start. You got to retard max. But when you start and you're consistent, because that's the thing too, many people, they can't go a couple of days without a cheat meal. You get to the point where you'll go for weeks eating the same meals, then for months, then for a year plus, or whatever. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be a lifestyle first. It has to be a lifestyle. If you want to start this journey of getting lean, but you don't have the identity shift, it's all the time. It's till you die. It's not going to be, oh, you're going to get lean because you don't want to get lean, then gain the weight back. You want to stay in that high vibrational state. That's why it's important to have that mindset shift where, okay, I eat primarily for, almost a taste, Jesus, but eat primarily for fuel, of course, always. Don't eat for taste. And that's another thing too. When you get on this journey, you're gonna start vibrating so highly that you're gonna be like, damn, no way I used to do that. No way I used to go out like at once a week. You're doing all the right things on the Monday through Friday, and then the Saturday you just jump off the cliff. Don't do that because that Saturday. And that's another thing too. If you think about it, think of a sports team. Anything really. If you're preparing for something, you don't just prepare for a certain amount of days. You prepare until the event occurs or you get the desired result. So if you're trying to be the best version of yourself and really hone in on your diet, you can't skip weekends. You have to still show up on weekends. That's why one of my favorite sayings now is every day is Monday. Because if you treat every day like Monday, it's like business. Everything's normal. And that's your identity. Boom. We show up, we hit our protein goal, we eat, we do all these things. That's our identity. It's not hard. Because every day is Monday. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday or it's the actual weekend. Every day is Monday. So you're still getting your sleep in. You still get your steps in. You do all these things. And that's the biggest thing. It's really simple. The more I think about it, it's really not a lot you have to do, but doing it consistently and with a certain intent. And you also need the mindset and the vibration to be able to do these things. Because plenty of people, they can't go a day without, McDonald's. They can't go a day without the crumble. And it shows. That's another thing. It's This is why you have to track what you eat. Because if you see how much some people weigh and you do the math, you're like, damn, they gotta eat 5,000 calories to maintain that weight. And then you think, I'm not sure I could do that. Shit, they're more locked in than me, just in the wrong direction. I'm like, nah, I cannot do that. That requires dedication. That's the thing. You're already dedicated. You're just dedicated to being a big back because that's even harder. It's easier to be lean. It's easier to be less than 50% because when you're a big back, you got to eat hella food. That requires time. All these foodies, bitches that are foodies, they're eating more food than probably some NFL players. That's the scary part. But see, they're not working out like an NFL player. That's why they're fat. That's why when you get to a certain point, you start to think, yeah, there's no excuse because what you're doing requires so much effort. It'd be easier to not eat. Literally, it would be easier not to eat. That's what makes you realize, yeah, like there's no excuse. To get to that point really requires dedication. Like you gotta really dedicate to being a big back. Like there's like what's the I think it's if you need to maintain your weight of 500 pounds, I want to say that's like 5,000 calories. I don't know. Someone comment, but I'm not sure. But it's a lot of calories, and I'm only eating about 2,400, and it's a good amount of food. People look at me like I eat a lot, and it's only 2,400 calories. And that's a pound of beef, some eggs, and you fill the rest of them with fruits. I'll do like my yogurt bowls, but people tell me that's a lot of food. I'm like, nah, you're clearly eating way more, but it's I don't tell them that because that's well fucked up. But in your mind, we all think it. So that's the thing. We all think these things. We just gotta get to the point of society where you just gotta start telling people like, yeah, you're not locked in. Like you've been locked out for so long, which is why you weigh so much. You know, like you have your own gravitational force, or it'd be faster to roll you because you definitely can't run. It's things like that because you have to really have some low standards to get to that point. That's why, like, it's funny, but it's also not funny because you think, damn, wow, that person is actually fat as fuck. Like, holy hell, that's not okay. It's just not okay. But this is why, you see, for me, that was the biggest thing, just tracking because I was already eating primarily for fuel, of course, but I wasn't tracking because it is possible you can actually overeat healthy foods, but you won't be fat, but you'll definitely be a little more. Because when I look back, I was like, damn, I was kind of chubby, and I'm a little taller, so I'm like, damn, hang on. But I think the biggest thing with getting lean is you just see like I've seen some before and afters. I'm like, wow, that's a different person. It's like it reveals what you actually are, especially around your face. Because a lot of people that's where fat is gonna get stored there. That'd be the last fat to go. So you have to get really down. I'll probably start making more videos, kind of documenting more so the lean journey. Maybe I'll do like 2 week updates, things of that nature. I don't know what we'll call the series, but definitely want to talk about that more because starting this process, it's definitely made my standards so much higher. I've just drifted apart from certain people. That's just a consequence of the way I think. Because another like unexpected, you can call it consequence, is more so you're gonna see you start to view things as they are because you think, okay, this person is fat. That means they eat hella food. It seems really basic, but you actually objectively start seeing like how crazy that is. Like that person weighs that much. You start to see people, not what they say, but what they're actually doing, and then you view them for that, not from potential, not from where they'll be 10 years, what they're doing now. Because what you're doing now, of course, compound over extra time is gonna lead to your future self. See, for me, I already know I'm lean because I have the mindset and vibration for it, and that reflects every week I do a check in. Waist is already 29 inches, and we've just started. I'm already the leanest version of myself, and there's no doubt in my mind. It's a 1-to-1. Everything I do is in alignment with that thought. But see, when there's a disconnect, that's what leads to the friction, the delay. You can't be consistent. You don't wake up early. You skip workouts. See, that's something I'm never doing again. I'm never missing a workout. And I almost did today, but I was thinking, I was like, nah, I don't care if I got 4 or 5, 3 hours of sleep. My sleep is locked in 95% of the time, so I can get away with that. That's not an excuse not to go. Just take some caffeine or something. I didn't take caffeine today, but If I have those thoughts, they get killed like very quickly now. And then I lock in and then boom, I'll go to the gym. You just at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you feel. You still got to show up. That's what I recognize now. That's why the gym, SR, nutrition. That's why these things are important because regardless how you feel, you still got to show up. You can't check out. You have to show up every day because every day is a test. Because there's 30 days in the month and you were locked in for 25, but the other 5 days you really jumped off the cliff or you ate hella food, you might not even be in the deficit anymore. So that whole month wasted because, a couple of meals of pleasure. That's why instant pleasure, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You might as well just continue to eat the proper foods because you're going to get rewarded. You're going to have so much more energy than everyone around you. You're not going to need caffeine. You won't go to the vending machine, grab gummy worms, hot fries, and all this stuff. Like, man, I'm at work today. I'm like, damn, like, they go to the vending machine, gummy worms, like those Haribo gummy worms, which I'm not gonna lie, those were pretty good. I used to love those, but of course now that's goofy food. I can't eat that. But a lot of people, that's the thing. Tracking will humble you. I'm telling you, tracking it'll humble you because you're gonna recognize that you're not as locked in as you think. But that's where the magic occurs because once you recognize what it means to be locked in, you start moving like that, then you think, okay, this compounded over 5 years. I'll be doing 3, 4 plate dips. I can't imagine how high I'll be vibrating, how I'll feel, how I'll look. And that makes you excited. And that actually makes you want to stay locked in because you want to see that version of yourself. Because the time is going to pass regardless. So if it's going to pass and I'm going to get to that point, I want it to be, you know, that I'm in the best state possible when I get to that point. Because I've watched enough videos and just interact with enough people to know that, yeah, this getting lean shit is very serious. You got to get lean. You have to get lean because it feels like everything's kind of been for me a culmination up to this point where okay, you have evidence that you're dedicated, you can do difficult things. Now we're gonna take it to one step further. Now that your standards are okay, because I think for the longest, this is a subtle way to know that you're starting to get it is when like you're genuinely, and I mean genuinely okay being alone. Like you can go months without seeing your friends and you'll be good. Many people you can't be alone. That's why you want to go out, go to clubs, go see that girl because you're not okay being alone. But when you vibrate highly enough, you start doing these difficult things. You start to see these things in yourself, but also in other people. You see, like, yeah, that person, they can't be alone. That's why they always seek pleasure. That's why they don't take anything serious because they don't respect themselves. They don't hold commitments to themselves. And you recognize you don't want to be like that, so you instinctively actually drift apart, and they're gonna drift apart from you too because when they're around you, they're no damn. I'm not doing the things I said I was supposed to be doing. I'm not locked in, but they can't face that because they're not at that level, so they're gonna naturally drift apart. It is what it is. That's the canon event also of the self improvement journey. You are going to drift apart from a lot of people. Your circle will get smaller. But what remains after all those changes, those will be the real ones. Those will be the real high vibrational people. Those are the people you want to hold on to. And I can definitely say thanks to me because it's still a process. I'm the leanest version of myself. It hasn't manifested yet externally, but the standards are there. I have no doubt in my mind. So, but I know from this, it's maybe just a lot more objective. You're able to see things clearly. You don't get as stressed out because you have this inner peace and calmness, but also confidence, knowing that, like, yeah, I'm good. You don't need that person. Peace is not separate from you. So you start to have these thoughts and you become content. Like, yeah, like, I'm good. Like, I'll be okay. But this is, I think, really powerful because when shit hits the fan, because of course we know how life is, it's the only thing that's constant is shit's gonna go crazy. So when the next crazy event occurs, you're actually ready and suited to deal with it because you have this inner alignment, you have this confidence, you have the discipline that came from the delayed gratification of doing things that most other people can't do. Because That's why people downplay it. It's a lot easier to downplay. Oh yeah, just working out is whatever. It's all about muscles and stuff. It doesn't really matter. It's easy to say that when you don't do those things. But when you start doing those things and you get on that path, you're gonna see like, wow, they weren't kidding. This shit's really serious. That's why so many people take it serious. There's a reason everyone's telling you to work out, but you have to work out properly. To work out properly, you have to eat properly. But to eat properly, see, it's all layered. To eat properly, you have to be your environment and your inner state has to be aligned because the minute you go out, you don't want to throw everything out the window. See, that's what I used to do. So much fucking wasted time. Never again. You're around people that are overweight. They don't work out. They don't take the diet stuff serious. And even if you take it serious, when you interact with them, you're not going to take it serious. And that one day does so much more damage than anyone understands. That's why you cannot do the whole in moderation thing. The people that are saying the moderation, they don't eat in moderation. They're overweight. They don't work out. They don't do these things. Don't listen to them. Don't do what I did. Do not listen to them. They do not work out. They do not work out. That's another thing that you get on this journey. Your tolerance for bullshit just goes. It basically becomes zero. And you look back and you think, yeah, I'm never again, never doing that, never doing no dumb shit like that again. You look at people for what they are, and that's it. You drift apart, it is what it is. You don't fault them for it, but it's just what happens. The mission is first. You gotta stay on the mission. You gotta stay locked in. Still gotta show up. Still gotta make the meals. Still gotta hit the protein goal. Still gotta work out. Still gotta get this money. Take care of your family, your friends. You still gotta do all these things. You just have to stay on. That's the thing. You have to be obsessed. At the end of the day, me making these videos, it only gets me more and more obsessed with getting lean, working out, the diet, because I recognize that I'm at this point because I was always obsessed about these things. It's a never ending cycle, but it's a good cycle. I'd rather be addicted to this than addicted to going to Crumble or trying the next goofy food or going to some restaurant with just a bunch of poisonous food. It's just not worth it because you just don't want to lower your standards. And as you vibrate higher and higher, you just recognize, yeah, I was lowering my standards that time. Can't do that again. Don't want to do that again. Don't want to go back to that point because you're gonna have arguments. That's the thing. Now I would even argue. I'd just be like, you just say, yeah, I respectfully disagree. You might think that, but that you don't do it, so you don't know. And it's a little fucked up, but it's also, if someone has never worked out, would you really take lifting advice from them? If someone's 400 pounds, even if they tell you salads are healthy, are you going to believe them? If anything, you're actually going to do the opposite of what they say because damn, I don't want to be like that. These are things we all like subconsciously do. You just become more aware of it once you get on this purpose. That's why everyone's preaching lean is law, lean is law, lean is law. That's why I continue to make these videos, continue to get updates so we can kind of document the transformation and everything. But yeah, that's why you got to start the journey. Let's all get lean together. Stay locked. Let's get it.